Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel where we are taking this, a 2010 Yamaha R6 that I brought blown up from Copart, and we are turning it into a full race bike. Now, if you want to start the series from the beginning, hit the playlist up the top there and you can go from there. For everyone that's up to date, what are we doing today? Well, we need to take the suspension off this bike and completely overhaul it. So the front forks need a major service, new seals and stiffer springs put inside of it. And also the rear shock absorber has to come off for a stiffer spring to be fitted, and again that needs to be serviced. And we need to double check the swing arm because where the thrust covers go over the bearings, they are extremely corroded. Now it's probably just from the fire powder extinguisher, but we need to double check the bearings because if there's a load of water that's sort of ingressed in there, the bearings could be knackered. So we've got to take the swing arm off and double check that. I've actually gone ahead and already done it, so we need to go back a couple of days when we got the parts. So yeah, play the video. So it's been a few more days and I have a parcel here from Yamaha, and in here should be all of our fork seal kit and also the bearings and that for our swing arm as well. So if I go over to the frame, what I'm going to do today is remove the front wheel, brake calipers, get them off, and then we can take off the forks and then we can give them a service. We've got the new stiffer springs, we've got new fork oil, and we've got new seals. So let's crack on, let's get the wheel off and let's get these forks stripped down. And we're going to loosen the pinch bolts here. So just before I pull that all the way out, let's pull these calipers off. Oh, they are super tight. Cool, I know I'm using only a 3/8 ratchet, but they are very tight. I'm hoping that is just some anti-seize paste and not threads. Yeah, no, that is. Okay, so that's good. Geez, I did have a slight panic on then. This is honestly a fantastic topic to go and have down in the comments because it will probably cause an argument with a few people. But should you use copper grease or an anti-seize grease on bolts like this? Now, this is a prime example of that. So this bolt here, which holds the brake caliper onto the stanchion of the fork, should only be torqued to 35 Newton meters, but genuinely that was probably torqued way past 50 Newton meters. I should have double checked with the torque wrench, but when you use a grease like that, it actually does over torque bolts. Now, if you over torque a bolt, there's more of a chance of it snapping. So by putting a grease on there so you can get it back out, but you're over torquing something, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to let you guys go down in the comments and, you know, recommend what do you guys do. For me, it doesn't say in the manual to put any form of grease on them, and that is because you do over torque them. So that's what I do. What do you guys do? Push out the spindle. So now we've got the front wheel off, I've cable tied the brake calipers up onto the frame. So look, the brake lines have zero stress on them, so nobody needs to go down to the comments and cry about that today. So to take the fork out, we do need to just loosen the bolts on our bottom clamp and also on the top clamp. But just before we do that, we need to take some measurements because we need to make sure we put that fork back in exactly where it needs to go. So we're going to get the vernier out, take some measurements, and then also we're going to take the settings of the forks and note them down as well. So yeah, let's get it. All right, and also while I'm here, I really want to get this clutch lever out of the way because it just keeps getting in my way and really annoying me. Sure, world's longest thread. All that for a bar end. There we go. Oh, immaculate. All the glue. Can't be holding it on by much now. There we go. Another £2.50 on eBay. Now with the handlebars out the way, I can get my 36mm socket on the top of the fork cap just to crack it off to make life easier when it's on the bench. And now I'm going to get the screwdriver and then put it in on the rebound dampener adjuster and just note down the settings. So it's actually 8 clicks off, and it's the same on the other side for the compression dampener adjuster. And then what I can do is just measure with a vernier all the distances for the preload adjusters as well. Just like that. Again, just crack them off. And back off our pinch bolts for our bottom yoke. And then we should be able to now just pull it out. There we go. And there's one fork out. So this is the only way I can do it. I can put the vise on my bench and use a couple of clamps to clamp the vise down, and then I can put the spring compressor inside the vise, and now we've got the fork on there. It does look a little bit medieval, but if it works, it works. So let me set the camera up and let's get this top cap whipped off. You know, it would actually be quite funny, as if these have just been serviced like right before the bike blew up, and it's already got a stiffer spring in there. No, it stinks. Nope, they've never been serviced. You know, that oil just hits you immediately. So we're now going to dump this oil out and see what it's like. Yeah, pretty disgusting. And I hope you can see that on camera, but that is dark as anything. Lots of metallic parts in there, so that has probably never had a service, I would imagine. Or if it had, a very long time ago. Right, let's put it back in the clamp now. I was just dying to see how clean the oil was, and it absolutely pongs. There we go. Crack that off. And by the way, guys, I did already take the pre-measurements of everything. Put that to one side. And we can take the weight off the dampening rod. And again, I'm going to dump out any oil. Ooh. But yeah, there is, can't really see that very well on the camera, but that oil is filthy with lots of tiny micro metals in there, because obviously as that fork compresses and rebounds over its lifetime, it does have a lot of pieces that are moving up and down, so you do get metal buildup. That is why it's very important to service forks. So using a bit of brake cleaner, I'm just going to clean the outside of the fork, get some of that excess oil off it. And then what we need to do now is pull out the seals inside. So I'm going to grab me trusty little seal pick, just gently pry that out, like so. Yeah, and as you can see, that has been nipped and damaged just a little bit. And then inside there, we're going to have that little snapping ring that we need to undo next. That's one way to get it out, just ping it yourself. And actually, you won't be able to see in there, it's too dark, but the oil is filthy. So the next thing I'm going to do is pry out the seal that is in there. This isn't the easiest seal to get out of that. This is too hard to try catch on the camera. I put a bit of cloth here on the outside of the fork to protect it, and then I can grab my pry bar and then just kind of go in and then just pry it out from the back like that. Yeah, and that's making its way out lovely. Then I can just move cloth round now to the opposite side and do the same again, like so. There we go. And that is the old seal out. Now remember which way it comes out. I'm going to lay them face down so that way I'll know. I want to clean all that horrible oil out of there. Look how dark the oil is. It is filthy. Now, that is the parts out of there. Now, oh shoot, I forgot to actually order that bush there, the bigger one. I'm going to hope that it hasn't been worn down that much, and we are going to reuse it, mainly because I completely forgot to order that one. And then once you're happy that the inside is brand new, nice and clean, then we can go ahead and put all of our new parts in. I am gutted I didn't order that sort of new bush guide inside, but it will be okay. If we go to upgrade the forks in the future, we can always change them then. So it was that flat washer in first, followed by our seal, and it goes in this way. So what I'm going to do is grab some new fork oil from over here, and then just apply a very small bit on the outside of the seal. And that's going to lube it up and just help me slide her in. So I've just swapped the batteries over in the GoPro. So we've got our new seal in the end of our fork tube. We now need to put in the new snapping ring, so let's get that in. Perfect, that's in there. And then we've got our dust seal. Now I don't actually have a little bit of grease, so I'm going to pop them in just for now, and then I will order some. And then there we go, we've now got our dust seal in there as well. I would normally put a tiny bit of grease in there, like you can actually get sort of dust cap grease that goes in there, but we can do that at a later date, that's not a problem. So that is now the fork tube rebuilt. Put the washer back in the bottom. Perfect, that landed the correct way. Now what we need to do is put some oil in. Now, these hold around about 480 milliliters, and that is a 500 milliliter bottle, so it's pretty much the whole lot, but I will show you the correct way to measure it in a couple of minutes time. And now we can put our fork oil in. And we can pull up our dampening rod. Lots of air coming out of it. That is exactly what you want. You want to remove all of the air bubbles so it feels nice and smooth. Don't go too fast. And you actually measure the air gap without any spring inside the fork. So I'm going to leave that for probably around about 10 minutes. But just before I do, I'm going to measure the air gap now. Now on these, they're around about 4 inches or 103 mil to be precise. I got that out of the manual earlier. So that's about 103 mil. Hopefully you're going to be able to see this nicely on the camera. So with the fork all completely compressed, put it down there. And genuinely, that is actually pretty much bang on. Look, I've just moved that ever so slightly so the oil can touch the bottom. So after probably maybe 10 minutes, we might have to just put a tiny bit more oil in, because if any more air escapes, then that will be perfect. Okay, so that has now been 10 minutes, and we can just double check. There is no more air in that. The dampening rod feels really nice, and there's no more air. So that is perfect. We'll check our air gap now. And set it to 103 mil. Drop it in, and yeah, it is literally just touching the end, so that is good enough for me. Now we can take our K-Tech spring, work out which way it needs to go. So it's not that way, it's that way. So we'll put the spring in, keep that up, take the bung off in time, hopefully. Yeah, perfect. Put that on. And then we should have our nut and washer. Or just the nut will be fine for now. And that is one fork. Done. And there we go, that is one fork leg, all serviced. Time to do the other one. I'm not going to bore you because it's getting a little bit late, so I'm going to go ahead, get the other one stripped down, serviced, all the seals and that changed out, and then I need to have a big tidy up, so I'm going to do that. Let's get going.
3 days later.
So it's actually been a few days since I did the service on the forks, rebuilt them, and put them back on the frame with the front wheel. Now I've actually got to go ahead and pull them back off, because basically, it won't matter to you guys because it'll all be in the same video, but today is Tuesday, we finished work on Friday, and I need to take a part with me to work to weld up. So let me show you. The little nub in there has been sort of broken and pushed back a little bit. So as you can see on this side, it is perfect. So as we turn the bars, it will touch on the headstock and not go any further. Now, just for my peace of mind, because obviously, look, if I turn it this way, it will go that little bit extra and it can pinch the brake line. So my plan is to take them back off again, take this bottom clamp off, and I can take it to work and then just basically pull that off, move it forward, that sort of maybe 5-10 mil, and then just sort of tack weld it back on. Now, I am definitely no welder, and I'm definitely not very good at welding aluminum, aluminium, whatever you want to call it, but I don't really want to go out and spend £120. Now, some of you might say, well, you don't really need it, but like I say, I just like to do things kind of proper. So let's now strip apart, well, not strip apart the front forks, but let's take the front forks back out, take the front wheel off. Let's get these awful handlebars taken off, and also we can actually remove our brake reservoir and our actual brake lever itself, and we can take them all off together with the calipers. So let's basically strip it down to a frame again. It's finally time to get rid of these awful bars. I'll be whacking these up on eBay. If there was ever a prize for picking a tool up, putting it down and losing it, I would be the winner. Here we go. There we go. So you undo that. I'll let you all run down to the comments and fight about me using the gun there to undo that, but it is now undone. They are going to be super tight. That's probably actually, to be fair, how that one had broken beforehand. It's probably if someone was trying to undo it or tighten up, putting these on, I reckon. Yeah, all I'm saying is maybe the person who owned this bike before me, he should have brought a manual and maybe watched a few YouTube videos. I might be watching this one, who knows. Right, let's get this off. Slide it out. Now, the bearings on this actually do feel pretty good, so hopefully we won't have to replace them. Oh, there goes the washer. Right, straight over to eBay. I'm sure this is worth about £900. Yeah, and there's the bolt that somebody rounded off, obviously putting this on, and yeah, probably did the damage to this as well. Who knows? Now, up the top here, it's nice and dirty. We can pull out our lock ring. Yeah, nice and safe. And now how? Yeah. Right, put the camera back down again. Oop. Does it? And as you can see, there is quite a lot of wet, fresh grease still on there. Well, I say fresh, but I mean that bearing is covered in grease, so that is a good sign. If that was all dried out and the grease had sort of picked up quite a bit of dirt, it can just turn into like a grinding paste. So we would definitely be able to sort of clean that up and reuse them. And as you can see, look, the grease still looks pretty fresh in there. So yeah, I don't think that that was changed probably too long ago. And they generously applied quite a bit of grease. As you can see, it started to age a little bit there, but the main fact is it hasn't dried out and turned into sort of a grinding paste. So that will clean up. We'll be able to reuse that. So that is very good. Look, feels good. Doesn't feel like there's any play in it at all. And obviously that is it loose. So that's good. Right, glove. Right, glove in the bin. So I'll be able to take this to work with me. It's literally a 10-second job. All I need to do is just break that off, push it forward, and then just literally put a couple tacks on it, and then it'll be good to go again. I am definitely no welder, but when it comes to saving £120, I'm sure I can get it done. Bosh. And just like that, I've got another axle stand under the front of the frame just to sort of try and make it a little bit more sturdy. Now, you probably should remove the rear wheel to make the removal of the swing arm a little bit easier, but I don't like to do it easier. I think if I leave the wheel on and I undo the bigger sort of pin that goes through, pull it out, I'll be able just to roll the swing arm off with the tyre. So it should make my life a little bit easier. Now, you do need a special key. Let me show you. Because as you can see on the swing arm, there is a special nut there. And of course, I went ahead already on eBay. It was like 20 quid and got one. So let's see if we can undo this side first. Because this side is just a standard 32mm socket. Nice. Line it up, push it in. There we go. Now we can remove this special little nut. You probably could use a hammer and a chisel or a punch and just sort of knock it around to undo it, but you know, when you go to do it back up, you ain't gonna be able to torque it up properly. So sometimes just buying the right tool or right socket is definitely the way forward. See how easy that was. The swing arm removed. Hopefully I still get this on camera for you. And there's the sort of cruddy thrust washer. Now, you know, there probably wasn't really any need to change this, as the bearing in here does still look pretty good, but I just like to do things kind of the correct way. I don't like to cut corners. I think if we're sort of at this stage, we might as well do it all properly. And as you can see, that is all nice and clean as well. So it was hard to try to show you, but I've just wiped out any of the old grease in there, and you probably won't see this on the GoPro, but the bearings in there genuinely are in fantastic condition. I was honestly expecting to see maybe a little bit of rust, perhaps some sort of like show that water had sort of ingressed in there, but there's nothing. Those roller bearings in there are genuinely perfect. So there's no reason for me to press them ones out and put new ones in. So all we're gonna do is clean everything up, grease it, and then put on the new thrust covers. So yeah, let's do that then. And then all I'm using is sort of a multi-purpose lithium-based grease, because you know, you could put whatever kind of grease you want in there. You could probably even get some special race bearing ones, but you don't need to. Just a little bit of any grease is better than nothing.
Lovely.
We've got plenty of grease in there now. Two new thrust covers on. Oh, look at that, she's going lovely. So I've quickly googled it, and the pivot shaft is only 16 newton meters, so it really isn't going to be much. There we go, so that's there. Let's go over to the other side. There we go. Double check that 70. Perfect, happy days. And then the other side is 95. There we go. Just double check that that's definitely 95 newton meters. Perfect, happy days. So, swing arm is now all torqued up. And just off camera, I've unboxed what is hopefully going to be my motorcycle spring. There we go, look at this. We've got our rear shock absorber back. Look at that, brand new spring there with the K-Tech one fitted, fully serviced, and it was dynoed and it's performing very good. So happy to have a brand new spring back. Let's get it in the bike. Put it in there without scratching the new spring. Try best not to. So it was just a little bit easier for me to do off camera, so I've torqued down our top nut assembly and also the bolt that goes through there, and then underneath as well the 2 bolts are done, and we've only got the last one left to basically put all of the lower suspension back together again. So let's see if we can get this on camera for you. Whoa, okay, so now that brings the frame up. That is actually kind of what we need. I'll show you that in a second. So there we go, 40 newtons. There we go. So 40 there, 40 there, 40 all round. Everyone's now happy. Perfect. And that is swing arm back on. And as you can see now, our rear swing arm's back on and everything is all torqued up and bolted exactly how we need it. And while we're still at the swing arm, as you can see, there is a chain guide seal that is missing. We originally took that off because of it had sort of melted and was just sort of really beyond worn and corroded. So I've ordered a new one from Yamaha. Get the bag out the way and let's get it on. Perfect. Managed to squeeze that in. And it does just have a plastic rivet on the back side, which I am not a fan of. So that's them on together, job done. And take a look at those brand new thrust covers, looking immaculate with the brand new chain seal and also our new K-Tech spring in there. So yeah, the bike is looking a lot better already. The front of the frame has now rised up. So just before we put it back on the sky mount, we probably could take this out and build up our headstock actually. Now, as you can see, look, the grease really isn't even that bad. So clean all this out now. I can put a load of new stuff in there. And there we go, that is now perfectly cleaned out. Get some new grease. Smear that all in there. That is one very clean bearing again. Gonna end up with getting grease all over me camera. Lower part of the bearing, and as you can see, it's a little bit more dirty than the other one. Let's give this a nice clean up as well. And then the moment of truth, my immaculate welds. Yeah, not really the best, but the main thing is it's on, it's gonna work, and I'll probably save myself £120. So yeah, not the tidiest welding, but more than happy with that. It works, that's the main thing. And then I'll just do this guys off camera. Put a load of grease up in the bottom of the headstock. Try that again. Completely put that the wrong way around. Helps if you know what you're doing, I suppose. And that is actually perfect. Yeah, feels nice. So next is rubber washer. And the frame is starting to take place now, and we're actually very close to turning this into a rolling frame. Of course, top yoke back on and forks in with the wheel back on, and we can move it around. But there's a reason why I've not put the old ABM top yoke back on, and that is because I'm at the point now where I can start upgrading this bike, and I'm really looking forward to it, because in the next video, we have the engine back, and we will be putting it into this bike with so many upgrades as well to hopefully make it very fast. Now, there is a story with the engine, which I will explain in much more detail in the next video, but I basically got scammed, and I got scammed very badly, which we will explain, but I had to send it off and it has been fully rebuilt. So we are gonna have a stupidly fast R6 engine for this bike, which I cannot wait to show you guys. So don't forget to like, subscribe, don't forget to leave me a comment because I always read them. I like to know what you guys think about the project. Hit that bell notification and that will bring you back for the new video in the new year where we will have an absolute mental engine in this bike with lots of goodies. Guys, I cannot wait. So yeah, enjoy your Christmas. Catch you then.